According to Catalyst Digital, more digital transformation happened in 2020 than in the previous decade. The expansion of programmatically available inventory and platforms, the rise of new consumer channels, and the rapid acceleration of e-commerce adoption have converged, forcing brands to reframe their media strategy towards a holistic, integrated approach. Hello and welcome to Let's Talk. My name is Oluja Kemusaku Damilare Arowolo, a digital marketing executive, is my guest. Please stay with us. But before we delve into the program proper as usual, I'd like to remind you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all of our social media platforms. Until then, please enjoy the ride with us. Thank you so much, Damilare, for coming on the show. It's nice having you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
So what is acceleration gap?
Yeah, so basically, acceleration gap is the distance or the gap that exists between the industry growth and the growth of your brand, which is basically where your brand is at the moment and where the industry or the sector that in which your brand operates, where they are at a particular moment. So acceleration gap will exist when you are not in tandem with how the industry is moving, which means that you are probably lagging behind the things that other competitors in the industry are doing. You are not doing them yet.
Now, what are the key concepts for a successful acceleration?
So the key concept for successful acceleration is number one thing is how you respond to change because just like you said in your opening statements that during the 2020 COVID-19 surge, there were a lot of acceleration when it comes to the e-commerce platform because people were limited and restricted when it comes to movement, and so they had to like um, tilt towards how they can get things done without having to move around. So which brought about a change in the e-commerce industry because a lot of people don't know that change is very, very important when it comes to acceleration. You have to be able to respond to change quickly. You have to know what your market changes are, what when they come, and what the consumer demands are at a particular point in time. Because consumer demand might change with time, and a lot of brands fail to realize this as fast or as quick as possible. And then a major thing is also data. Data is important. As a matter of fact, a lot of school of thought we say data is life because data is what will allow you to have the kind of information that will help you respond to acceleration or that will help you respond to change and growth. And without this data, there is not much that you can do. There is, even if you want to do much, there will be a lot of things that you do not need to do that you will do. But data allows you to be able to do things that you need to do and to do them how you're supposed to do them. So another concept that I would always love to look at is the concept of cultural diversity. A lot of people don't know that culture plays a major role in every industry. What do I mean by culture? It's not just about the background or the societal norms that a particular people has been used to from start. Sometimes it can be as a result of a switch in generation. For example, we say we have the Gen Zs now who prefer to actually buy their things online, shop online. So a lot of times we need to understand what culture is in trend, what culture are people imbibing, what are people doing these days, and when brands cannot come into sync with the cultural change, they might notice that they are rapidly lagging behind. And we also have to look at when it comes to the skilled labor, the skills that you have. That is the people that are working with the brand. it's very, very important that you have the right skilled labor in your business to be able to accelerate very well. For example, if the world has moved into tech and your brand is supposed to move into tech or use some new software, and then you have nobody with that skill, definitely your competitors will have a kind of edge ahead of you, because technically your competitors are doing have the skills, have the staff that can do what you cannot do. So it's very much important that probably you train your staffs in the skill set that moves in sync with what is going on in society, or perhaps you might also employ people that are very skillful and useful to you in that regard. So I feel that this is important. And also, a concept you should look at is the yardstick, which is the yardstick in which the success in your industry is measured in your sector. So, for example, how do you measure success in a particular sector? Is success measured in terms of what are the parameters that we use? And sometimes you can use some big players, some key players to actually know this. For example, in the e-commerce sector, let's say you want to use Amazon to measure the be a yardstick for how you can know that your brand is doing well. Or let's say you want to use in Africa, for example, the big players, which is Jumia and Konga, you can want to use them as a yardstick to understand that, okay, how are we doing? What's our acceleration like? What's our growth like? So it's very important that we look at these key concepts to be able to know if we are doing well or is otherwise.
Now, how can someone identify his or her brand's acceleration?
Okay, so from the points that I made earlier in terms of the concept, so my answer also revolves around those concepts. How you can identify revolves around the concept of acceleration. For example, the number one identification is that you look at the company's goal. Look at the company goals. What are your goals? Are you meeting your goals? Are you meeting your target? If you are not meeting your targets or you are not meeting your goals, then you have to be sure that you are not accelerating the right proportion and you have a gap that you need to fill up. And another thing is you have to look at the number of the staff you have. You have to look at the labor that you are working with, this kind of skill set that you have. Is it the ones that is very useful for you in that industry, or is it the ones that it's not useful? And then another thing you have to look at is how you get your data, the kind of data that you are using, and how relevant those data are to your business. So you have to, because the world is now data driven, and we cannot lie to ourselves. If you e-commerce, most especially, is majorly data driven. If you want to scale through e-commerce, you have to be data driven. You have to use data. You have to translate data into things that can ultimately become a major tool for sales. So looking at the data is one of the major gaps that you need to fill. You have to make sure that you're getting the right data. Getting the right data is very important, and translating those data into something that you can use to fill the gaps that you have in your business or in your on your platform. So another thing is to check what your competitors are doing. It's very important that we note what our competitors are doing, and if we don't lie to ourselves, we know if our competitors are doing better than us, and we know if we are doing better than them. So a lot of times, the answers that you seek is in looking into your competitors in the industry, and you will easily find the answer to know if you are actually doing well or otherwise is the case.
Okay, thank you for that. You kept mentioning data. Which of the data are we talking about? Is it the list, the company, data like the list of customers or clients, the number of people that are coming in daily, or we are talking about this internet data?
Okay.
Just to
So
clarify.
all right, yeah, that's important. So data is a very big concept, and a lot of times data differs based on industry and based on what they are being used for. So when I talk about data here in relations to e-commerce, I'm talking about your users and your proposed user, your target audience, your market. What do they want? In what direction are they tilting towards? And then a lot of times you can looking at your target consumer, your target market can allow you to access a lot of data, which will in turn allow you to translate those data into what you can use to scale your business. For example, people that shop online have a particular kind of behavioral pattern when we look at their data, the target audience, where do they visit more? Okay, for example, if the kind of users you are looking at visit YouTube more, you should be able to have that kind of data to know that when you are doing your marketing should be targeted towards YouTube. Let's say they use Facebook more. When you are doing your marketing, the market should be targeted towards Facebook more. So it's important that you can generate this data, whether from existing users, whether from people that already are in your platforms, from their pattern, from how they do their things, or the pattern of how they buy, their pattern of buy, or you can also get new data from probably checking for experts online or what the industry is saying. You can also do some research on the industry and try to see the kind of people that are operating in the industry now, the kind of consumers that we have now, and what they prefer. So having access to this data is very important for the growth of an e-commerce brand.